Hi, I'm Lonnie Anderson, and I have to say that the first time I met Johnny Carson was backstage, and it was before WKRP. I wasn't really a blonde yet, and I was hired to be in a sketch with Orson Welles. Oh my gosh, with that voice.
You ate it for breakfast, great sire.
So I did. Bring me a rack of horse. And no horseradish. Oh, I hate puns. I just say what's written here, folks. It's nothing. Easy, girls.
And then Johnny, Orson was the Sultan, Johnny was the fool, and I was the slave girl.
The mighty Carson art players take you back in history to the glory days of early Rome in an epic presentation of The King and His Fool, starring Orson Welles as the king and Johnny Carson playing himself, the fool.
And they were so wonderful to me, and I was so thrilled. I called everybody from Minnesota, where I'm from, to tell them that I was going to be on The Tonight Show, because if you were on The Tonight Show, you had arrived. And I remember my family being so excited. Nobody could wait for it to come on. I actually had a couple of lines. I was so thrilled, and they were so nice to me. Orson and Johnny couldn't have been more forthcoming and fun to work with.
Oh, great king, last night you ravished me, debauched me, despoiled me, violated me, abused me, and deflowered me. But you didn't kiss me goodnight. Why?
I'm trying to save something for after we get married.
I remember after that, then Johnny said, would you like to be in some more sketches and maybe be like the matinee lady? We'll do something like that. And we talked about it, and then I got WKRP, and everything changed. And so the next time I was on the show, I was a full-fledged blonde, and I was doing WKRP, and he didn't remember that we had worked together before. And I think I had a photo. I'm not sure. I'm thinking back. I had a photo.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah, you sure are an attractive thing.
Thank you very much.
You really are.
Do you remember the first time we met?
You don't have a subpoena or anything, do you?
I have a surprise.
We've met before?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, come on.
We
now.
worked together before. In 1976, I was a slave girl and you were a fool.
That sounds about right.
Where was that?
Where was that? Was that on television?
This was right on this stage.
Are you putting me on?
With Orson Welles.
We did a sketch with Orson Welles.
Yes.
He had a harem.
Yes.
What did he play?
He was the Sultan and I was the slave girl.
I was the court
and
jester,
you were
the fool.
Do you remember that girl? We chatted in the afternoon during
The old chatting before the show
right.
game. This is
That's
you right
me.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll be.
You gonna show it?
Yes, I'm going to show that.
Okay.
You are kneeling right down here. But your hair wasn't as.
No, my hair was
wasn't
sort
as
of
blonde.
auburn. You know, I went through all those stages from being a brunette to the
Yeah.
color I have now. Yeah.
Well, I'll be talking.
I had a good time because Orson Welles was wonderful. And and
Wasn't
you had,
I kinda
you had
nice?
little jingle bells on your hat.
I was wearing
You were
those
the
things
court
with the little
jester.
bells on the turned up. I played the court jester
And
with
I
them.
really appreciated it because you did all your action around me, so I was on camera all the time, even when I wasn't speaking. And I was watching it from an airport on my way back
Is
to
that
Minnesota
right?
to visit my family.
I'm really kind of embarrassed. Did we really talk a
We
little?
really did, yes.
What did we talk about?
You were charming. You were very nice.
Well,
You
it's-
asked me all about my background and everything. He was really very nice.
It's always scary when somebody comes out of your past and says, "Hi there." Oh boy.
Well, you know, you'd come to the set and be backstage, and everyone would say hello, and the music would start, and it was like I'd come from the stage, so it was like opening night. It was, you go out, and the audience is there, and but it was just, it was like doing live. I mean, I never thought, you never got a second chance. It was not a retake. It wasn't a do-over like you would be interested in doing in your film or your TV, where you go, oh, let's do it again. No, that was it. Whatever happened, happened. And I think that's what people were looking for, too, like my parents. You knew you were going to see something that wasn't planned and that you might get in on the moment that everybody was going to be talking about the next day, because there were only those 3 networks and everybody was watching Johnny Carson. So whatever happened the night before, people would be talking about. So you had that feeling of just spontaneity. And because he didn't talk to you beforehand, you never knew what was going to happen. And so he would, like getting me to do an impression.
Snow White? You're the only one holding out tonight.
Am I?
Yeah, you're the only one holding
I
out.
know. Well, I'm afraid my voice has really dropped to a place where I
well,
can't
okay.
sing. Take a chance?
Sure.
Sing Take a Chance?
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Someday my prince will...
All right. All right. Now, we're talking major league show business now, folks.
Like anything, like nibbling on my shoulder. Those were not planned things.
He's not in a hurry.
And I think that's why the audience loved him. They were things that nobody knew was going to happen. So you got in on it. And I think the audience at home always felt like, ooh, we got in on a special moment just because we watched Johnny tonight. And we did too, as performers. You never knew what conversation, where it was going to lead, what it was going to go off to. And then he got you, it was so intimate, and he was such a friend, and he was so warm that there were a couple times I thought, I was almost tempted to say something that I would never have said that the public would know were on national television. And I think, oh, what am I doing? It's not just Johnny and me talking. I'm actually going to say this, and it's going to be out there forever. But he made you feel that intimate, that close. I was doing a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Jane Mansfield story. And we were playing real people, Jane Mansfield and Mickey Hargitay. He had built her a heart-shaped pool in the back of their home. Mickey had built that for Jane. And the house still existed, and Engelbert Humperdinck owned the house. And the week before I was on The Tonight Show, our crew, of course, producer and everybody, had tried to get permission to film at that heart-shaped pool. And they had said no. So I was so disappointed, and I was on the show that night, and it was just like one of those weird happenings.
You've never seen the house and the sheep?
No, and we're very eager to film around the heart-shaped pool, but so far we've had a no.
Well, now that's... Tell you what I do. I'll make my pool heart-shaped if you... You come up there and we'll film it right on my property.
And the next week, we got to shoot at the heart-shaped pool. So things like that just seem to happen on The Tonight Show. Oh, gosh, I think young people today, it's the epitome of everything that's on your phone and on your computer. If you just had to watch one thing, and we just let you watch one thing on your computer, one thing on your phone every day, what would it be? And for us, it would have been The Tonight Show. You would have missed anything else, but not The Tonight Show, not Johnny Carson. And I don't even know if they have a person like that that they can relate to. But if they could pick one, that's how they would know. It was an older gentleman, and he was kind of teaching seniors how to defend themselves in case they got mugged or somebody came up. And so he had Johnny and I stand up, and he said, now see, if somebody came up, and he had Johnny put his arms around me, and I had a strapless dress on.
You pick this up this way, like a lobster claw, and you don't do anything. You don't move that. You bend this.
You see?
Yes. Oh,
Let's try that.
Or why am I going to try that?
Well, I hugged you a little higher, but I'll hug her.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
What?
which,
Are you
are you right-handed?
Uh-huh.
Doesn't matter, but so they will
Where-
see. Now you take your knuckle and you hit it, stop right there. He's not in a hurry at all. And then when that comes out, you pick up a finger, pick one finger, pick up a finger.
Well, being on The Tonight Show there were a couple of things that said you made it. If you were asked to be on a Bob Hope special, for instance, or if you were asked to be on The Tonight Show, it was your ticket to arrival. I know a lot of comedians, a lot of careers were made, but if you were doing a show and they said, do you want to be on with Johnny, it was like, that's it. You know, from then on, my career is set because I have been on that couch and Johnny Carson was talking to me and asking me questions, and it's the most thrilling. And I don't think anybody understands what that's like today, because there are a lot of talk shows and there are a lot of people, but he was such a giant. It was the biggest thing to be on The Tonight Show. I mean, there was really nothing more important than being seen on The Tonight Show. No matter how popular your series was, even if it was in the top 10, more people were going to see you on The Tonight Show than would ever see you in your series every week. So, and if they didn't know about you from your series, now they knew about you on The Tonight Show, and then they might tune in to see your series. So it was so important to everything. All of us who grew up with The Tonight Show, and that it was such a big part of our lives, we're still saying those same expressions. We still are talking about the Slauson cutoff.
You can actually come to our school in person. How do you get there, you ask?
How do we get there?
Yes, you take the San Diego Freeway to the Ventura Freeway to the Slauson cutoff. Get out of the car, cut off your Slauson. Get back in the car and drive 6 miles till you see a pack of wild dogs sniffing Doris Day. Now, friends.
And I mean, all of that is still in our vocabulary. And the fact that he imitated Jack Benny and Jackie Gleason, and he did all those incredible things, and he had those sketches, those characters that were so memorable. You know, you cannot forget the Joe Friday sketch.
That figures. Now let me see if I got the facts straight here. Cleaning woman Clara Clifford discovered your clean copper clappers kept in a closet were copped by Claude Cooper, the kleptomaniac from Cleveland. Now, is that about it?
One other thing.
What's that?
If I ever catch kleptomaniac Claude Cooper from Cleveland who copped my clean copper clappers from kept in the closet,
Yes?
I'll clobber him.
Yeah, we're always holding an envelope up to our heads and saying the answer, the Karnak thing.
The answer to the question.
Hermetically sealed.
I have not seen the question. It's inside here.
Sunken Wagner's port.
Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice.
Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice.
List all the names of the people who voted for President Carter.
Well, he was the master of the take. So that's what you were waiting for, the Johnny reaction to the animals, to the guest who said something crazy.
So I wait when my husband takes a bath, and then I'll take my accordion, sit on a toilet, see John. Honest, yes, honest.
I'll tell you, any marriage that can survive a husband taking a bath and a wife sitting on the toilet seat with an accordion is a strong union.
And in his monologue also, if he goofed out, the take was the funniest part. He was just the master of it.
Hello, 1, 2. Attention Kmart shoppers, aisle 34, garden hose and lawnmowers.
My favorite memories of Johnny are more personal than on the show. I mean, I have wonderful memories on the show, but he was a friend, and we socialized, and a very quiet, shy, lovely gentleman. And he produced a television series that I did with Linda Carter called Partners in Crime, and we did the show in San Francisco. And he would come up and visit the set, and everybody went crazy, and he was darling. Right in the middle of that filming, my mother became very ill and died very shortly after. She was at UCLA in the hospital, and we were in San Francisco, and I would try and make the plane back on Friday night so I could be with her at the hospital and then fly out again on Sunday night. So I'd rush back to be with her. And we filmed so late, and I'd missed the last plane out on Friday nights. And then I'd get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning and rush to LA to be at the hospital, and then rush back on Sunday night and get up at 4 in the morning to start work on Monday. I was exhausted. And I went to Johnny and I said, I just don't know if I can keep this up. I'm spent. I don't know what to do. And he said, don't worry about it. And the next week, the producer came to me and said, it doesn't matter how late we shoot. Johnny has his private plane waiting at the airport for you. So whenever we finish, we're going to drive you right to the plane so you can go be with your mom. And he did that then for the rest of her life for me during that show. It was the most incredible thing. Whew, I get all teared up just thinking about it. Oh, dear. One more time. I guess so many thank yous for the joy that he brought into my life and for being the friend that he was.
Anyway, tonight we have a good show. We have Mr. David Brenner with us, one of the clever young comedians working.
Well, I'm David Brenner, and my best recollection of Johnny Carson and being with Johnny Carson was my first appearance. I think the best way to talk about the impact it had on my career and other comedians' careers is to tell you that when I did the first Tonight Show, I had to my name all my money in my pocket. I had 3 $1 bills. And I had earned $8,800 in the year and a half that I was a comedian. And the next day, by the end of the workday, my agent called me. I had $10,000 worth of job offers from that first appearance. And then every time I went on the Tonight Show, it reinforced my status and gave the popularity a boost. And it was my whole career was based on one thing and one person, the Tonight Show and Johnny Carson. Look, it's the difference. His show would be the difference between playing, AAA baseball and being a Yankee in the World Series in New York. Johnny Carson was the giant. You're dealing with the giant, and the public. I would get on that show, and Johnny would announce. And now here's someone who comes on. And
My first guest tonight, you all know, he is frequently on this show. In fact, I could not believe it when I found out when he made his first appearance, and we'll let him tell you how long ago it was.
And he's playing at the so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so club, or Vegas, whatever it was.
David will be at the Carlton Inn in Greenway, Wisconsin on March 6th and 7th. He opens March 28th at the Holiday House in Pittsburgh through April 4th. And April 10th and 11th, he'll be at the Resorts International in Atlantic City.
2 days later, I'm sold out. Every time, I'm sold out.
Would you welcome David Brenner?
Thanks. Thank you. Okay, thanks a lot. He could sell at Coliseums. It was amazing. And the power that man had. And it never went to his head.
You want to hear a great crime? Guy pulled over a crime in Philadelphia. The way it happened is he stole a car. Man comes out, his car's gone. I'll make this fast. Man came out, car's gone. He calls the police. They can't find the car. That's it, the end of the car. Week goes by, 2 weeks go by. He comes out. There's the car parked in front of his store. Goes over, it's his car. Goes inside, little note. Sorry I took your car. My wife's having a baby in Pittsburgh. I had to get there. Please accept my apology and these 2 tickets to the 76ers game Saturday night. I'm terribly sorry what I did to you. The man's restored his faith in humanity, right? Takes his wife, they go to the game Saturday night, he's watching the game, comes back to his house, nothing's in his house.
We'll be right back. Stay where you are.
Well, he was the king. You were actually in the presence of the king. Now, he was warm, very intelligent, very funny, but he had his secret that no other, I think, talk show host then or today has, is he would make each guest the best he or she could be. He wouldn't upstage them. He wouldn't top you with a joke, even though he could. He would make you the best because that made the show the best, and it was his show. People today, look, they come up to me all the time. I used to watch you on Carson all the time. They don't say The Tonight Show. They say I used to watch you on Carson all the time. So he got the credit for everybody being great, so he made you the best.
This is one of my favorite things that happened to me because it keeps my ego intact. When I did the first Tonight Show, you know, and I came out and I did it, I don't know, I just wasn't nervous, I just did it, and it was one of those magical nights, everything worked, it was just, and it was the beginning of my, you know, whole career. After I did the show, I never told you this, after I did the show, I guess the adrenaline shot, I realized what I had done. So I didn't sleep all night. After I did the show, I didn't sleep all night. The next day, I'm on a subway going out to visit a friend of mine in Sheepshead Bay. He owns Pips, the first comedy store in America, and I'm going out to see him. I've been up all night, but I'm still excited about the night before. I was on national television. I'm sitting on the subway, right, riding out to Sheepshead Bay in Brooklyn, and this man's staring at me across from me. He keeps staring at me. And then he looks at me and he goes, "Ooh," he said, "you're funny." I said, "Thank you." And I said it real loud so everyone in the subway could hear me because I was so proud. Can you imagine a guy saw me the night before on a Tonight Show and he recognized me? And then about a minute later, he turned to this old lady next to me and he said to her, "Ooh, you're funny." He said it to everyone in the train, a lunatic. I'm the only one who stood up and said, "Oh, thank you very much."
You're funny. That's a great story.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. Stay where you are.
Isn't that great?
Le Blanche, is that what it is? Le Blanche.
A lot of people ask me what Johnny Carson was really like, and I can tell you, on my 158th appearance, I didn't know him any better as a person than I did on the first. He had this nice shield that he put up. I was friendly with him. We were friendly. We weren't best friends. He had his little clique of friends. But if you want to know about the metal of the man, I think this is the best example. I was doing, I think, my second multi-hosting of a week. And I did Monday night. I came into work Tuesday, into NBC Tuesday, and some stagehand said, "You know, you had the highest rating in the history of the Tonight Show last night." I said, "Oh, yeah," and I thought they're messing around. Then some of the musicians came up, you know, "Boy, hey, congratulations. I heard it was the biggest rating the Tonight Show ever had." And then others, and then I realized it must be valid. I'm in my dressing room, and Fred D. Cordova comes in. He said, "This is a first in the history of the Tonight Show." He said, "You know, you had the highest ratings." I said, "Yeah, I heard about it." He said, "But here's the first. Johnny Carson, when he goes away, never calls into the show. But he called in. He's on the phone in my office. He wants to talk to you." So I knew what it meant. Pink slip. I'm done. I was too good for the job. What are you kidding? It's over. Jeez, it's over. So I went in, picked up the phone. "Hi. Hey, David, how you doing?" "Good, Johnny. How you doing?" "Good, good." He's, "Oh, I like what you did in that interview last night on the show, blah, 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 with this." And he always picked out favorite jokes of mine. "This joke, oh, that got me, this joke." He said, "And I understand you had the highest rating of the Tonight Show in the history of the show." I said, yeah, I hear that around here." He said, "That's why I'm calling you." And here it comes. "Whomp, go take everything out of your desk, go home." He said, "I want to thank you for bringing all the new fans to my show." Now that's the metal of the man.
Well, I'd come home after school, my mother would always say, "David, your lunch is on the table." Where else would she put it? Like I'd walk in one day, "David, your tuna fish is in the cellar. Tonight, your hot dog's gonna be in the backyard near the bushes. Tomorrow, we're gonna hide your eggs in the neighborhood. You have to find them. And eat everything on your plate. The children in Europe are starving." What did that mean? You mean while I'm eating, there's a kid in Europe going, "Oh, I feel better."
I did my stand-up monologue. He made me do, I did 150 monologues out of 158 appearances. Now, as a comedian, you get to a point, a certain status, where you don't do a monologue anymore. It's too difficult to put that gem, all the gems in the right place. You go right to the couch. I was scoring on a Tonight Show, but I didn't go right to the couch. I never went right to the couch. So this must have been my 100th appearance or something. I sit down and Johnny says to me during the commercial break, "David, you ever wonder why I make you do a monologue every time?" The truth was I did. I wasn't going. I said, "You know, yeah, Johnny, I actually have." He says, "Because I like to sit back for 6.5 minutes, have a cigarette, and laugh." And I figured, oh, that's lousy. And I had to keep doing them. I had to do it. Well, one night I did a monologue. I sat down, and Johnny would always pick out a joke that he liked in my monologue. So he said, that joke about that, oh, it's so funny. And he said, thanks. And he like repeated it. And I had the joke and I had a topper on it. And he repeats the joke, and this is on the air. And then he gives a topper to the topper. He gives a powerful ending to it. And I said to him, oh man, I wish I would have thought of that. And he looked at me and said, you will.
It's murder out there. You missed it. It is a downpour. I couldn't believe it. Everyone told me it's going to be sunny, it's going to be nice. I can't believe the rain they have here. And mudslides. Come on, back east when we say a neighborhood's going downhill.
Well, you know, wherever you were, whether it was that night, late at night, and like hanging out in New York, or the next day, you could not pass people without hearing someone talking about The Tonight Show. It was the show. It was what everybody did. They watched The Tonight Show. They watched Johnny Carson. So, you know, they always talk about, what do they talk about around the water cooler? He was the man they talked about around the water cooler and the show. And even, you know, today coming here, I got stopped in the airport. I got people coming up to me on the plane and the airport getting here. And, hey, I saw you. Oh, I used to watch you on Carson, man. You know what bit I love, that thing you did with the airplane, blah, blah, blah. It's your whole career. That impact that one man had is never been replicated by anybody, and I don't think it ever can be.
You know, I have a brother. He's one of the first in this country, by the way. He's a speed reader. Do you ever see speed readers? You've seen a commercial, learn how to read faster, come to so-and-so school, and we'll teach you how to read. Do you know how they read? They read with their fingers. I don't mean to do this. They move their fingers up and down a page of a book like 100 miles an hour. I'm serious. They can read a book that thick in about 3 minutes. I'm finished. You have another book? Thank you. Didn't you ever see a speed reader like walking around in your library?
Well, we talk about, the comedians, we talk about Johnny Carson to this day. Steve Landsberg, who's a very good friend of mine, got Barney Miller. And you know, we discuss it, but you know, someone told me there's this great comedian, teenager. You got to see him. Young Hispanic kid, Freddie Prinze. And I saw Freddie. Freddie was unbelievable. He was a natural, like Richie Pryor and George Carlin, naturals. And I called up The Tonight Show after Freddie and I were friends for a while, and I suggested he goes on. And I remember Peter Sally saying, will you be responsible for him? I don't know what that meant. What am I going to be, thrown out of the country if he doesn't tell jokes? Oh, he didn't get last, Brenner. You're going to, you know, you're going to go over to Finland. Oh, great. So I said, yeah, I'll be totally responsible. Anyway, Freddie went on. I watched it. I was at Catch a Rising Star that night and watched him on the monitor. And I worked that first shot with him, going over the material with him. And from that first shot, he got Chico and the Man and had that career. And the other thing was, he broke my record that night. I sat down on my second appearance on The Tonight Show on the couch, and Freddie sat down the first time. If I knew that, I would never have been responsible for him.
But New Yorkers, I panic right away. You know, being from Philadelphia, we panic easily. Oh, it's 10 o'clock, a cloud, you know. But, but I panicked. Then I thought, why don't I act like a New Yorker? We're out of oil. So you ever see New Yorkers? Nothing bothers them. They're crazy. They don't care what's happening. Nothing can get them, right? No problem's too big. You ever see New Yorkers? What's the matter? No heat? We'll burn our feet.
I was the hot kid on the block. Thanks to The Tonight Show, which led to Douglas and Griffin and David Frost and all the other shows. And my whole career explodes. Now, NBC and CBS are bidding for the holding deal for a situation comedy for me. Fred Silverman was in charge of CBS, and if you know the history of television, he was an innovator, a real innovator, and he was doing shows, remarkable shows, like Chris Albrecht did for HBO, one of a kind. I really was leaning towards going with him. There was no product, but they wanted to hold me for a show. And it was up and back, and they were both bid, and they bid, and they gave me this perk and that perk, and then the money became the same. And then NBC put a carrot in front of me that erased anything else CBS had said or would say. They said, if you come with NBC, if you come with us, we will let you host The Tonight Show one time. And that was enough. It was a dream of mine doing the Tonight Show that one day I would sit in Johnny Carson's chair. And I took that deal just because of Johnny Carson. And look how it paid off. I sat in that chair 75 times for him and then did all those shows. And it gave me all the whole career to this moment.
I'll tell you one of the dumbest advertisements. Actually, it's a sign. It's not an advertisement. I love dumb signs. This one, you can check it out. It's here in Los Angeles, all right? You can check it out later. And those who are coming to L.A., you can check it out when you get here. I'm sure it'll still be here. On the door, there's a sign on the door of the International House of Pancakes. Huh? On the door leading into the restaurant is a big sign. I had to look at this for 5 minutes. Big sign on the door. We have menus in Braille. Don't feel badly. It took me 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. I'll tell the story. Okay. Oh, geez. I told you off camera, so I want to tell it on. Okay, I'll tell it. All right. I was a comedian just short of a year. And I had this young agent, David Yeager, who's still a very good friend of mine. And I was working the bitter end in Greenwich Village. Hip. You had to be hip and current and cool. I mean, it was the finest of the finest of New York's hip, cool people who came there. Famous place in the Village. And I didn't know that